How
even
could that
realize
cool down
that
any relationship, please? Me wolfing down nachos. Come on.
Kody
What was meant to be a peaceful garden lunch spiraled into one of the most disturbing off-camera meltdowns in reality TV history, one that would seal Kody Brown's fate with TLC for good. It began innocently enough. The cameras arrived to film a casual backyard segment with Robyn, Kody, and her children. It was supposed to be gentle, digestible PRA, warm counterbalance to the storm brewing across the fandom. Viewers had been watching the family's collapse unfold, and TLC wanted to soften the blow with what they hoped would feel like normal. But behind that suburban setting, behind those carefully placed picnic tables and glass pitchers of lemonade was a powder keg no one saw coming. And it was Dayton Brown, Robyn's oldest son, usually withdrawn and quiet, who struck the match. By noon, the small three-person crew was already on edge. Sound tech, a cameraman, and an assistant producer. But instead of cooperative smiles or the usual discomfort, they were met with something far worse, an impenetrable wall of rage. Dayton refused the mic. His pacing was erratic, jaw clenched, his sneakers slapping the porch with increasing speed. The cameraman, trying to salvage the moment, subtly shifted the angle to capture Dayton in frame. That's when everything exploded. Dayton let out a guttural growl, one that didn't even sound human. "You're not filming me anymore? She's being poisoned by you. All of us are." And then he lunged. The boom mic went flying. A chair splintered. The camera operator tripped backward, crashing face first into a stone planter. Blood hit the lens. Robyn screamed. But Kody, he didn't run to protect his stepson. He didn't run to check the bleeding crew member. He ran to fight. Not against Dayton, but against the production team. "Why the hell didn't you stop filming?" He roared, fists clenched, eyes wild. "Why didn't you turn the camera off?" was the final straw. Behind closed doors, TLC pulls the plug within hours. TLC executives were in a virtual emergency meeting behind locked doors in Burbank. Phones silenced, lawyers looped in. A decision had to be made, and it came down hard. Julia, right? The network's longest-serving executive producer, didn't mince words. "Kody, we're done. You are no longer safe. Not for us, not for the crew, not for the story, not even as a personality." It was surgical, cold, effective immediately. Kody Brown was terminated. He didn't fight. He didn't argue. He just sat there in his Arizona home office, lined with old family portraits and peeling leather furniture, his jaw so tight it looked like he might crack a molar. "This is impossible," he muttered. Julia's voice came through the speaker like a knife. "We've already made it happen." And the screen went black. The collapse. Robyn walks out that night. Robyn found him still sitting in the dark. TV on, volume low. Half a bottle of whiskey beside him, one that hadn't been touched in years. His eyes burned not with tears, but something worse. Rage, paranoia, collapse. "They assassinated me," he hissed. "They killed my legacy." But Robyn didn't comfort him. She stood still, cold, silent, unmoving. "No, Kody, you did that. You dragged this family through the dirt. And now Dayton is broken, again, because of you." Kody leaped to his feet. "You're turning against me," he barked. "I'm leaving," Robyn said quietly. "I'm taking Dayton. We're going to St. George. Don't call, don't follow. Don't try to spin this into your redemption arc. This family deserves peace, what's left of it." Kody's voice cracked. "You can't do this to me." Robyn's voice never rose. "I'm not doing anything. You already did." Meanwhile, Meri strikes back while Kody's empire crumbled in Arizona. Meri Brown was staging a quiet but powerful revolution of her own. She had seen the storm coming long before the Dayton incident. She had been preparing. For 3 years, Meri had been quietly compiling everything: contracts, bank statements, secret negotiations, betrayal receipts. She wasn't going to release a memoir. She was going to drop a bomb. And TLC, desperate to salvage its brand, gave her the platform she never thought she'd receive: a 6-part confessional series. Raw, uncut, brutal. The first episode was filmed in a small, bare studio outside Salt Lake City. One wooden chair, a single light, a side table stacked with documents, and on top, a manila folder labeled Robyn's. Deals. Meri didn't face the camera. She turned her back to it, then began. For over a decade, they told my story. Today, I'm telling it myself. And with that, she unloaded the first of many bombshells. Robyn had been cutting private deals since season 8. She received bonus pay for any episode that showed her crying or featuring her children. The other wives were never told. Entire segments featuring Meri, especially emotional ones, were removed to make room for the Robyn narrative. They cut my grief recovery retreat. I was the rawest I've ever been on camera. And they deleted me. I wasn't even in the credits, Meri revealed, her voice cracking. But that wasn't all. She produced real estate documents, shell company filings, and proof Kody had signed over multiple assets into Robyn's name, some without legal witness. She even found unpaid invoices to Janelle, despite her contractual obligations. The end of the illusion. The family that once preached unity had finally collapsed under the weight of secrecy, ego, and deception. Kody was out. Robyn had left. Meri was rising, no longer silent, no longer compliant. And fans, they weren't mourning the end. They were demanding answers and tuning in for the truth they were always denied.
Right? And it's just completely just two people. It's as raw as it can be. It's the connection. It's the emotional connection, the physical connection.
It was a single sentence. A quiet line buried inside Meri Brown's raw confessional. But it set the internet on fire. Robyn Brown is not a helpless woman. She's a strategist. Kody Brown was her soldier. And just like that, the illusion was over. Clips of Meri's emotional sit-down flooded TikTok, dominated Reddit threads, and ignited YouTube reaction channels. Fans who had abandoned the show returned in waves, not for love, but for the unfiltered truth. Episode 2. The bombshells get bigger. By the second episode of Meri's confessional series, things got darker. Emails between Kody and TLC executives surfaced begging for narrative rewrites, complaining that Christine's independence had ruined the storyline. Then came the voicemails, Robyn pleading with producers to protect her image, to twist the edit, to spin victimhood once more. Audio of Kody screaming at Christine, accusing her of betrayal, not as a wife, but as a character who stopped following the script. This wasn't just a family falling apart. This was a controlled narrative unraveling, and the strings were finally visible. Episode 3. Sister Wives reclaimed. Then, something no one thought possible happened. TLC leaned in hard. The network rebranded the series with Meri, Christine, and Janelle at the center. The title? Sister Wives reclaimed. A massive billboard lit up Times Square. Meri Brown standing alone. Wind in her hair, arms crossed, chin raised. White text across the image read, "The real wife, Meri Brown. She's done waiting." Premiere June. First, Kody vanishes. As the series soared in ratings, Kody Brown disappeared from the spotlight. His once busy Flagstaff home became silent. No production vans, no buzz, just a strange kind of stillness. Neighbors reported seeing him alone at rural gas stations, bearded, muttering to himself. He started a podcast. It bombed after 3 episodes. He tried to launch a YouTube channel. Comments were disabled within 24 hours. He was no longer the voice of the family. He was no longer the patriarch. He was a ghost of a failed empire. Secrets, lawsuits, and tape vaults. Meanwhile, a former producer stepped forward, revealing the existence of unreleased footage dating back to the Las Vegas years. tapes hidden in a Utah storage unit, moments that allegedly showed Kody making disturbing, controlling remarks about his wives and his role as the star. TLC, desperate to keep it buried, allegedly paid 6 figures to silence the leak, but it was too late. The reckoning had arrived. Janelle's rebirth while Kody crumbled, Janelle Brown rose like a phoenix. After 30 years in spiritual marriage, years of being blamed, shamed, and financially tethered, Janelle had finally broken free. Their final fracture came during COVID-19, when Kody imposed suffocating rules on her and her children. By 2022, she'd walked, spiritually divorced, no more ties. By 2024, she had relocated to North Carolina, closer to her married daughter. In 2025, she announced a milestone: her own home. Her own land, her own life. My home is slowly coming to fruition. She beamed. 2025 is the year I eliminate every toxic thing from my life. And she did. With dignity, independence, peace. She started new businesses from Tata Farms to her t-shirt boutique, building a life on her own terms. She didn't just survive, she thrived. Coyote Pass, a ruin of dreams, the land that once symbolized unity. The Coyote Pass property had long been a sore point. Bought in 2018, it was supposed to be a shared legacy. But for years, Kody refused to divide it fairly. In 2025, he finally caved. Janelle received $35,000, more than double her original investment. The payout wasn't just financial, it was freedom in writing. Christine's silent victory while Meri told the truth and Janelle rebuilt. Christine stayed focused on joy, quiet but radiant. Married, free, and surrounded by grandchildren. She didn't need to fight anymore. Her freedom had already been claimed. The fall of Robyn Brown, but the story wasn't over. 'Cause even after having everything she wanted, Kody, exclusivity, power, Robyn Brown was still not happy. Fans had long suspected she manipulated her way into the top spot, leveraging tears and confusion to carve out a throne. Now, the curtain was pulled back and the performance had ended. In season 19, Robyn was no longer the misunderstood one. She was the architect of the chaos, and she had no one left to blame. A house of ghosts today. Robyn and Kody sit in a house full of ghosts, empty bedrooms, silent phones, echoes of what never really was. She admitted, in a rare moment of honesty, that she'd always dreamed of unity, of closeness with Meri, Janelle, and Christine. But instead of building that, she chased control. And in chasing it, she lost everything. Even Kody, broken and bitter, can no longer defend the dream. This wasn't the family they claimed it was. This was never the legacy they told us to believe in. Final line: a reckoning, not a reunion. The sister wives story is no longer about plural marriage. It's about escape, about women reclaiming their stories, about broken systems exposed in the harshest light. And maybe, just maybe, it's about the truth finally speaking louder than the script. Chapter 1. Meri's breaking point and the illusion of accountability. Meri Brown's exit from the plural marriage was long anticipated, but when it happened, it was no less explosive. In her final recorded statements before departing the family, for good, Meri leveled a series of accusations targeting Robyn, Kody, and the TLC producers. She felt manipulated the story for over a decade. Her voice was calm, but the words were scorched earth. I spent years trying to protect something that was never mine to begin with, and I won't apologize for finally walking away. But critics weren't so quick to offer blind sympathy. While Meri bravely condemned the injustices she faced, she failed to reflect on her own role in the toxicity. Over the years, Meri had her own alliances, her own manipulations, and her own silence in moments when the truth might have helped others. The pattern was hauntingly familiar. Each wife in their own way became both victim and enabler. Chapter 2. Robyn's rising power and the myth of the victim. Robyn Brown has carefully curated an image of spiritual gentleness and emotional fragility. From the moment she joined the family, she was positioned as the outsider trying to fit in. Yet episode after episode, season after season, that narrative began to crack. Viewers started noticing a pattern. Robyn, though not untouched by hardship, consistently projected her pain more loudly than others. She overexpressed her wounds while minimizing the devastation happening around her. While Janelle, Christine, and Meri quietly suffered betrayals, financial hardship, and emotional neglect, Robyn narrated her suffering with urgency, effectively crowding out their pain. But here's the most revealing contradiction. Robyn remained the most secure. While the other wives walked away emotionally depleted, financially strained, and publicly humiliated, remained protected. She had Kody. She had a stable household. She had the show's narrative wrapped around her. And she had power. Chapter 3. The children and the pain of favoritism. No issue haunts the Brown family saga more than Kody's behavior toward his children. Claims to love them equally, but his actions betray him. His favoritism is glaring. While he spends abundant time with Robyn's children, some of whom he legally adopted as older children, especially those from Christine and Janelle, often received crumbs. Birthday visits missed. Major life events ignored. Emotional needs dismissed. Robyn made it worse. She consistently insisted that her children were othered by the rest of the family. But in truth, it was her behavior that isolated them. Her protectiveness over Dayton, Aurora, and Brina turned from caution to possessiveness, and it grew into an invisible wall that separated them from their siblings. This wasn't motherhood. This was strategic insulation. Chapter 4. The Isabel Incident. Hypocrisy in plain sight. There was a moment that broke many fans. A moment no amount of editing could soften. Christine's daughter, Isabel, was scheduled for a major back surgery to correct scoliosis. It was a time of fear and fragility. Christine needed support. Isabel needed her father. Kody didn't go. Robyn didn't step in either. She cited COVID-19 concerns. She stayed home. Yet years before, when Dayton underwent a similar procedure, she was by his side through every second. No excuses. No distancing. The disparity was unmistakable. Fans were furious. And for many, this moment cemented Robyn as the architect of emotional double standards within the family. Chapter 5. The morality mask. Robyn often presents herself as the moral compass of the family. She speaks openly about Christian values, sexual purity, modesty, and discipline. She teaches these lessons to her children and to the audience. But behind the curtains, the life she lived and the life she preached did not align. It's gained her. The Brown family after a divorce, her previous marriage, her personal struggles, and her blended family were never openly criticized. But she often cast judgment on others who didn't conform to her standards. There were no honest conversations in her parenting only. Rules, expectations, shame. And while change is natural and growth is human, hypocrisy wrapped in righteousness is alienating. Chapter 6. The Voice of a Villain. By the time season 19 aired, the illusion had collapsed. Fans weren't just upset. They were angry. Robyn had become the family villain not because of who she married, but because of how she used her role. Her tears no longer moved the audience. Her defensiveness read as guilt. Her refusal to acknowledge the pain of others came off as narcissism. She had what she wanted, yet she was still unhappy. Chapter 7. The soulmate fantasy. Kody and Robyn have clung to the term soulmates since the day they married. And on screen, they still claim to be head over heels. Kody calls her his refuge. Robyn calls him her divine match. But viewers see what they don't say. Behind that love story lies a graveyard of forsaken vows and abandoned wives. Christine walked away. Janelle followed. Meri eventually disappeared. What began as a plural marriage ended as a devastating monogamy one chosen by default, not design. Chapter 8. Las Vegas to Flagstaff. The beginning of the end, the Browns' move. From Las Vegas to Flagstaff was pitched as a new beginning. Instead, it shattered what little cohesion remained. The wives lived in separate homes, isolated from one another. Kody divided his time unevenly. Family gatherings dwindled. And then COVID hit. Kody and Robyn bunkered down, isolating themselves. Rules were enforced selectively. Relationships fell apart. The mask was off. The favoritism was exposed. Chapter 9, Christine, Janelle, and Meri. 3 roads to freedom. Christine was the first to break free. Her departure was met with gaslighting, blame, and denial. But she stood firm. She had nothing left to prove. Janelle followed. Years of emotional neglect, endless self-sacrifice, and blame pushed her out. She chose peace over pretension. Meri stayed the longest. But when she left, she did so with thunder. She didn't just walk. She testified. She exposed emails, financial betrayals, and Robyn's manipulation behind the scenes. Their exits weren't escapes. They were rebirths. Chapter 10, The Legacy in Ruins. Kody and Robyn sit alone, now figuratively and literally. The dream they chased has collapsed. Their marriage, though intact, is surrounded by ghosts. Robyn hoped the others would validate her love for Kody. They never did. And maybe they never could. She's not the victim anymore. She's the last wife standing, and somehow, the most broken of all. Chapter 11. Where it all ends, the Brown family began as a testament to faith, unity, and perseverance. It ends as a cautionary tale. It's about control, manipulation, selective empathy, emotional warfare disguised as spirituality, but also
Any
about
kind
women
of
who
physical
finally
sense.
chose
I mean,
to
I look
reclaim
back in
their
retrospect
lives.
and I wonder, was that fair?
Christine
But I
chose
can't
joy.
even look there because
Janelle chose
we have children together. We have a life together.
Meri chose truth, and Robyn. She chose silence. Silence. The cameras may have stopped rolling for the Browns, but Kody's spiral was just beginning. Behind closed doors, he was said to be raging at TLC, at his wives, and even at himself. Sources close to production described a man completely unmoored, someone who believed his downfall was engineered by others rather than forged by his own hands. He tried to regain control through media. A failed podcast titled Father of 18 barely lasted 3 episodes. Viewers weren't interested. In redemption, they wanted accountability. His attempt at starting a YouTube channel saw initial clicks, but quickly collapsed. Comment sections had to be turned off due to overwhelming backlash. He was no longer a patriarch. He'd become a symbol for delusion, for failed leadership, for everything viewers had grown to resent. Chapter 13. Behind the scenes that producers speak, then came the bombshell no one expected. A former assistant producer working on early Las Vegas seasons leaked behind-the-scenes audio. In it, Kody could be heard demanding edits to favor Robyn, referring to his other wives as obstacles to the narrative. He even mocked Christine's emotional breakdowns, suggesting that women like her belong off-camera. The leak caused a media firestorm. TLC executives scrambled. And suddenly, the sanitized image of the family man was shattered in public. The man who once claimed to lead with fairness was revealed to be someone who manipulated from the shadows. Chapter 14. Christine's Renaissance, Love and Liberation. While the Browns crumbled, Christine soared. She had relocated, fallen in love, and embraced a new chapter as a public figure in her own right. What began as a modest Instagram platform turned into a lifestyle brand. Unapologetically Christine, she began speaking at empowerment conferences. Her story resonated with women worldwide, women who stayed too long, gave too much, and finally walked away. She wasn't just healing, she was inspiring. And for the first time, her children thrived too. Truly began to smile more. Michael T. and Aspen spoke openly about their newfound peace. The shadow of Kody was lifting. Chapter 15. The family fractures further. The children were never collateral. They were participants in this unraveling. Gabe and Garrison, Janelle's sons, publicly distanced themselves from Kody. In heartbreaking live streams, they spoke of being neglected, of birthdays missed, of love withheld. Gwendolyn, Christine's daughter, came out publicly and revealed that she had never felt accepted by her father. TLC chose not to air these confessions, but social media did. The truth seeped through every platform, every comment thread, every independent interview. The Brown children had voices in. They were finally using them. Chapter 16. Robyn's retreat